with them as a natural fertilizer. So this is full cycle design. When we look at our society today, what do? We recycle. And even in that principle, it's reduce, reuse, recycle. Recycle is the last hope in that cycle of renewal of products, right? But we focus on it as the main hope. And we shouldn't be recycling, because recycling is really downcycling. If you look at plastic, when we reuse it, it degrades in quality. So we need to redesign plastic so that it upgrades in quality, becomes a new resource as we're done with it. So seventh, we need to design from patterns to detail. A lot of the times in this world we design from details, and when we agglomerate a whole bunch of different details together, they create a pattern. But that pattern does not have a fundamental goal or a fundamental orientation about it. It's the design elements or the details that do. And sometimes those patterns are wholly flawed patterns. If we look at the detailed design of the waste disposal mechanisms of a city, namely our washrooms, we have a pattern of polluting the ocean as a result to that detailed design. If we looked at a pattern of how do we use human waste and the water within our cities in a more productive way, and looked at that pattern and how they do it in nature and applied that to our conventional city designs, then we look at the details. Okay, well, what can we do that mimics a natural process in a forest for waste disposal? Well, never in the history of the planet Earth has any being ever deposited its waste in the water that they drink, first of all. Mainly because when you put a high nitrogen source of fertilizer in water, it becomes anaerobic, which encourages the bacteria that renders it toxic sewage. Whereas if you were to put it in a high carbon environment like we do with our compost, it would neutralize the bad bacteria, encourage the right bacteria, and create an incredible fertilizer. So we need to follow the patterns of nature to redesign the details of our societies and of the systems that we use to live every day. We need to we need to integrate rather than segregate. So it's not about, it's great, our society has the ability to focus on specific details. We're all specialists, but we need to also have a broader perspective of what goes on in the world. We need to be generalists who choose a specialty and can apply that to the general aspects of life. Whereas right now we focus on a specialty and then try and bring it out and apply it to a general aspect of life. They're, even in high schools now, they're getting you to focus on what you want to be in life. And you can have the option of never taking chemistry or physics or math. Not that I was really good at any of those, but I'm glad I was forced through them because I know a lot more about how the world works. It's all about small and slow solutions too, taking the steps that have the most impact for the least input. So really looking at solutions that don't take a lot of energy and that have a huge impact. If you look at nature, nature's lazy. Nature is not wasting a lot of energy to do things that we try and do in our lives. It's all about 10 hours of design for 1 hour of work in permaculture, which is what nature is all about. If the elements take a lot of work and a lot of energy, those are generally the ones that have gone extinct already. So we need to use and value the diversity, be it the diversity of our knowledge or the diversity of our people or the diversity of the foods, the insects, and the airflows in our site. Every aspect of a design has diversity, and we need to value every of those aspects and use them to the best of our ability. We need to use edges and value the marginal. So what this means is looking at an ecosystem. If you think about a grassland ecosystem and a forest ecosystem, what do we have in a grassland? Like a savanna or a prairie or something. Just name some species. Giraffe? Anyone ever see a giraffe in a grassland? No? I saw one on planet Earth, but so we have animals, right? We have animals in grasslands that are grazers generally. Well, what do we find in the forest? We have what? We have monkeys. Yeah, okay, what about our forests? We have insects and fungi. Okay, what else? Birds. We have birds. We should have timber wolves. We should have mountain lions. We don't. We should have foxes. So you have an ecosystem that exists within the forest, and you have an ecosystem that exists within a prairie. Now at the edge, where the prairie and the forest intersect, we call this an ecotone. It's a blending of two ecosystems, and it becomes an ecosystem of it in and of itself that is twice as powerful, twice as productive as the prairie alone or the forest alone, because the giraffes and the deer and the rabbits come to the edge of the forest. The rabbits are in the forest, but they come to the edge of the forest to profit from its abundance, and the predators come to the edge of the fields to profit from its abundance. Even though they generally reside within their own ecosystem, the edge within those, or between those ecosystems, is where it's most profitable, where it's most abundant, where it's most productive. Same with a lake and a field, or a lake and anywhere. The boundary between the water, even the coastal regions of the ocean, where the land slowly dips down into the depths of the ocean, is where 90% of the ocean's life is found. So it's important to value that marginal aspect of life and those edges between environments, between systems, and between politics even. We need to creatively use and respond to change. Change is generally an indicator of a problem, and the problem is generally displaying the solution in and of itself. So it's important to realize that change can be a guiding factor in what we need to do, and it can be an instigating factor in how we need to do it as well. So these are just 12 of the million principles of nature, but these are some of the best that we can utilize to help us use this framework in a productive design technique.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
But I think it's too large a discussion for now.
That's good. Plant a seed.
You were saying over and over again that we are doing. We go back to the concept.
Yeah.
Like we are focusing on details and not patterns. We are doing this, not that. We are doing this, not that. But nature is doing that. And I just have a problem with the separation between us and
Human nature, yeah, definitely.
And, I'm still trying to figure out for myself personally why we don't dig through the things that are good for us as socio-ecological systems. But yeah, it's just a comment.
Did everyone hear that? Yeah? Okay. So I think that's absolutely correct. And that's, when I say we, and I should have defined this, I'm talking about the contemporary society that we are bound to today. I'm talking about the debts that I've incurred through going to university. I'm talking about the taxes I have to pay on my mom's land and so that we can keep it. These systems, right? And so that system is based on the dichotomy between human and natural. And what I think with permaculture, what we're trying to do is to try and design our lives so that we adhere with nature and become more connected with nature and bring us back to that root cause, or that root, root of energy. I think really that's what it's all about, is reconnecting. With the natural systems of life and using that to govern how we interact.